everybody, thank you for joining me today. So today's video is number 10 in our 25 days of sketches for this holiday season, and we're going to be using this Operation Right Home sketch number 27. So if you wanted to pause here, write down your measurements, and just to give you a heads up, and I think I do on most of it, put mats, I just add 1/8 of an inch. For example, the long strip, instead of it being 1.5 by 4.25, I made a mat that's 1 5/8 by 4. I think I did mine straight at 4 because that's how wide my pattern paper is. So everything's already pre-cut. I've already stamped my sentiment. I used some Delicata ink with a snowflake on the background, and then stamped Believe in the Magic of Christmas. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing my layers. So for the mat, it's 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. That's going to be the black paper. And then our pattern paper is going to be 4 by 5 1/4. So we'll have a nice 1/8 of an inch border around the project. I'm just going to lay that down, starting with that first, only because it's better that way sometimes. And what I decided to do before we get far into it, I took one of the sentiments out the back, and I'm just taping it on the inside, so that way it's technically the inside's done. All we would have to do is sign. So we're just going to tape up the top pattern paper. I told you this is the one that's 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm using the ATG tape and art glitter glue to give me a little bit of wiggle room time, okay? Because let me tell you, there's many times when you put this down and you get the crooksies, and it's very hard to pull it back apart, and you can wind up ripping your paper. So if you ever feel like you're having those type of situations, just make sure you use the wet glue, because the wet glue gives you time. Now on our strip here, I am using my sand block because I don't want any of the edges to be kind of, it's hard to explain. Sometimes when your cutter starts to get dull, it doesn't smoothly cut. And the Kaiser Crafts paper, though it's really pretty, it's also really thin. So sometimes when you're cutting it with your cutters, you may find like the edges are a little ragged, or they have like little fuzz balls. So you just use your nail file. I got this from Kaiser Craft, my little sand block, and I just hit the edges so that way they are nice and clean and smooth. And then we're going to put down our stripe paper here, which goes across the middle. And once I have that laid down, I'm going to go ahead and press. And then we're going to do our side strip. And this is another one of those that, except for the matte paper that I used, you can use scraps for this. If you have small pieces in your stash, you can, use up some of that to create cards, especially when it's like the smaller layers and you're putting stuff on top of each other. That would be a great way to use up, because I don't know if you guys are like me, but sometimes I tend to hoard paper, scraps of paper, and I never go back to it, but I can't throw it away because it's too big of a piece or whatever it may be. So on those instances, then why not find a sketch that will work where you can use that up too? You know what I mean? And this is one of those, because you don't have to put the matte paper down. You could just do the centerpiece and then the strip for right on top of the card base itself, and it would be a pretty card as well. You know what I mean? I just like doing more layers, and I like using up the pattern paper. So for this sentiment, I decided I was going to mount this with foam tape. And of course, you can use foam tape, you can use fun foam, you can use whatever, really, foam squares, anything that you have that will give a little bit of dimension. This will give it a little bit of height, you know what I mean? And then I already know, instead of doing sequins on this one, I decided over on the left hand side I have the snowflake paper, and on some of the centers I'm going to put some Nuvo drops. So I'm going to grab the gunmetal and just do a little center dot on the small one, the one on the side, because it's just peeking. And I think I just do, oh no, there is one up there, and then I do one down at the bottom. So that way it's 5 total. Now those last 2 aren't on the centers, they're just in 2 different spots. And then I tap it a little bit so that way it flattens and it dries easier too, or faster, because it's not a round disc. And it's just a little bit of an accent. And then this is one I did off camera. Different center pieces, you know, center strips that are going through, but still just as beautiful. I really love it. This one was super quick and easy to put together as well. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and share button. I'm also going to have links down below to 2 of my crafty friends. They are joining me in the 12 days of Christmas as well, doing crafty projects. And so I'm just going to leave their links in the description box down below, so that way you guys can go over and check out what they're doing. I know that there's going to be some different craft projects. Of course, I'm doing the sketches, and then you can go over there and see what else they got cooking. Okay, so thank you guys again, and I hope you have a great day.